holy dooly, the astrology for July is transformative to say the least. So, a massive focus for this month is going to be this really unique configuration that's occurring, and it's named after the renowned French astrologer Andre Barbeau. And so, Barbeau's basket is what it's called. And this is a really unique formation that is involving Pluto, Neptune, Uranus that are forming this very, very specific, like a minor grand trine, which is occurring alongside this Saturn Neptune conjunction. And it's so special because the configuration is formed with the planets at 4 degrees of their sign. Like all of them are at this, like, it's such a perfect configuration. It's very exciting. It's highly anticipated. And Barbo himself even quoted and made reference to this being the most beautiful configuration of the 21st century. And we want to really pay attention to what he has said because he has made some very accurate predictions when it comes to the astrology. As a mundane astrologer, he predicted COVID-19 happening, amongst other things, but we want to pay attention to this. A lot of astrologers are claiming this to be like a huge turning point for humanity and basically being like the birth of a new civilization, which hard to say exactly what's going to come out of this because it's not something that we have really witnessed or observed before in history to such specificity like this one is. But this one's coming exact around the 15th and to the 24th of July. That's when everything's kind of really coming to a head. And it's really much uncharted territory. Like I I'm very much intrigued, excited, anticipating what July is going to be. So that is one of the major transits. We're going to get stuck into the other ones. If you are new here, hi, I'm Brittany. I'm an astrologer, nutritionist, and a Pilates instructor, but mostly sharing on astrology here on YouTube. You can also find me on Substack, sometimes on TikTok, was formerly on Instagram, but recently just decided to cut ties with the app and focus primarily just on videos here on YouTube and written reports and insights on Substack, where I am kind of just talking about kind of a bit of a brain dump over there with astrology intermingled with just kind of questioning societal norms and interests in philosophy that kind of really tickle my fancy. Why not? So I deactivated Instagram, and that kind of ties in with the astrology that we have forming for July because our lunar nodes are also shifting signs. And the North Node is going to enter Aquarius, South Node entering Leo. And my interpretation of this is basically a death to this performative, highly curated online persona energy, this like fixation we have with like influencer culture, celebrity culture, being in the spotlight, being so done up, and being made available to always be perceived and viewed through a lens rather than like in real life relationships, connections, and experiences, which I think is that Aquarian energy that sweeps through. So Aquarius is that humanitarian of the zodiac. It is about shared values. It is about communities. It is about being unique and being authentic. And so this mix here with our North Node now being in Aquarius, where that is where our focus and our energy is to go towards, the process of that is getting rid of the shadow traits of Leo, which is performative, and it is more, I guess, curated, calculated, filtered. Um, the words are gone. Anyway, that's fine. So I think this shift is going to cause a refocus around our relationship to ourselves and how in touch we are with our authenticity. There's a quote from Ellen Atlanta, who is the author of Pixel Flesh, a book that I would highly recommend. I did just listen to it, the audiobook version. There's always a thin line between visibility and vulnerability, the authentic and the unflattering, the enhanced and the relatable, the curated and the fake. And that is true. And this transit here with the North Node in Aquarius, South Node in Leo is having us really form that line and solidify that line between knowing our true selves and knowing what is more of a thing that we're putting on for show, you know? So we have that. We have Barbo's basket. Aquarian energy itself, it's quirky, it's authentic, it's unique. And so the North Node being here, it's going to cause us to turn our head and face this fully and face these parts of ourselves. Because I feel like with the whole online sphere really coming to such a climax as it is right now, it's going to create this sense of letting go of the need to be perfected and be poised 100% of the time, and allowing ourselves to just accept and embrace who we actually are, like with our faults. Like it's often referred to social media being the highlight reel, and we are all aware of it being as such. But I feel like more of us now are coming to terms with just the impacts that being online can have, like constantly just seeing what the algorithm pushes first and foremost. Like we don't even really have control over what our feeds are showing us anymore. We only see 7% of content, like the 7% of our content that is on our feeds now is from people that we actually are following. The rest is like paid ads, marketing, and the algorithm does favor, for the most part, um, conventionally pretty, usually younger, um, people that kind of fit this ideal and this mold and this archetype, and it doesn't represent all people and all of humanity. And so we are feeling it's it was designed to like keep us connected, and we are kind of like hyper connected in one way but then so disconnected in another, because we're not actually seeing like real bodies, real faces, real people. And now with the rise of AI coming into this, half the time we're not even actually seeing people. It's AI generated images and videos and all the rest of it. And so that kind of ties into why I have decided to leave Instagram and just kind of focus more on long form content and just detaching from that sphere. And yeah, kind of rebelling against that, this influencer celebrity culture, and worshipping that and coming back to just in real life connections. We have Jupiter that enters Leo on the 1st. So we're starting off the month with a bang. Jupiter has been in Cancer for some time, and entering Leo, it was exalted while it was in Cancer for one, but entering Leo, Jupiter is our great benefic, and it is that planet of expansion, optimism, good fortune. And in Leo, it's the fire sign that is touted for its generosity, its playfulness, and its performance. Yes. So this can enhance our egos in one way. Leo energy is that energy that's larger than life. So it's an invitation to put yourself out there in new ways. It's an invitation for more play, creativity, for more glitz and glamour, for things that really do excite you and your inner child. So Jupiter was in Cancer in its exaltation, and it brought about more nourishing opportunities our way. Jupiter now in Leo, it's not doing anything super special per se, but Leo itself is a sign that does things fully. So your planet of expansion is in a sign that's already quite expansive by its default. And so it's like go big or go home energy. So Jupiter is going to expand that by pushing the envelope even further and just elevating our experiences on a whole. But on the flip side, that can translate as an inflated ego, which is something to be mindful of, and big performances, which Leo loves and adores. And so discernment will be key here. Leo energy is very playful, but it does crave validation. So it's a time where you're going to truly understand your wants and desires so that you can actually allow Jupiter to expand upon those things. But that requires us like truly actually knowing what we want and not what we think society will favor and value. What do you value as an individual? So the transit's going to be more positively felt for our fire signs and our air signs. So Leo, Aries, Sag, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Slightly more challenging for Taurus and Scorpio, more from that, like it's an elevated expectation that you may feel a little let down by, potentially. Will depend on kind of how these placements are going to interact with your own chart. We have Neptune stationing retrograde on the 8th, and that will carry us through until the 12th of December. And Neptune is that planet that kind of blurs the lines between what's real and what's not, like the line between realities, the 3D and the dream realm. Like it's that great disillusioner. This is going to have us diving deep into our own realms of our mind and spirit, with Pluto also retrograde. It is about shadow work, yes, but it's going to have a different flavor in the mix. So it's a time to kind of tune out the external noise and check in with what's inside your creativity, your dreams, your hopes, your visions. Mid-month, there's a sextile that will form to Uranus. So that will bring this really exciting energy. It's going to give this kind of spiritual revolution, spiritual awakening kind of a vibe. And this is where our digital reality can be blurred between what's real and what's not, which again, AI slop. it's already happening, you know? So a reminder that we are still in the midst of Mercury retrograde during this time in the sign of Cancer. And with any time that Mercury is retrograde, it is advised that you put down the tech and we kind of detach from that because Mercury does govern technology and we're going to see delays with that. And so it's always good to kind of just have a bit of a break, mini break. Mercury Cazimi is going to occur on July 13th, and that is when Mercury is going to join up with the sun and its energy is like purified. So that is a point where amidst the kind of haze and chaos that a retrograde can bring, when that planet is then Cazimi with the sun, it's almost like this light bulb. I finally can see things clearly. Finally, I have the idea. I finally have the answers. And so it's just like a brief moment amidst this transit where we may suddenly feel like things make sense for that point. And this is occurring just before a Cancer new moon. So that's going to be a really beautiful, like a warm embrace, a cosmic hug, if you will. And so Cancer new moon on the 14th, it'll be at 21 degrees, and the moon is in its home sign in Cancer. It loves to be there. This is going to mark the beginning of the next lunar cycle, and the moon will be with the sun and Mercury, kind of providing this little point of like a restoration during the retrograde. So this retrograde is bound to bring up some old emotional wounds because it's in the sign of Cancer. It is very emotional, it's nurturing, it's intuitive, it rules the fourth house. So we might think we're going to be quite nostalgic during this time, but maybe reflecting over past childhood wounds that can resurface. Again, wherever Cancer is in your chart is going to provide kind of more context for this, but it's going to be an invitation to do things differently from here on out. Do it for your inner child and let this lunation be the turning point where you offer more kindness and compassion to yourself to create that deeper self-trust and emotional safety, and then act out of that, you know? Uranus is going to trine Pluto around the 18th. So just days later, this trine will form, and it's one that we haven't seen in over 100 years, and we're not going to see it again for another 300 years. So the trine is going to come exact again in November and then in June of 2027. Very big energy and very like revolutionary energy. It is about shaking things up. With Pluto and Aquarius, it can be about breaking down paradigms. Both Uranus and Aquarius are associated with technology and innovation. So this transit can be like an attempt to bring power back into the hands of people, which we are seeing now. A lot of people are advocating for the rejection of AI. Some people are for, most people are against. I want to hope. I am against. And so this energy can really facilitate a sense of like, you know, change and power back to the people. Grassroots movements is kind of the theme here. Pluto in Aquarius is an energy that goes against hierarchies, and it is very different to when Pluto was transiting Capricorn. And so there's a big theme of interconnectedness happening throughout this year where we will be feeling more connected than ever before, but more in real life. As I was saying with like the North Node then entering Aquarius, we're coming back to community-based living, analog-based living, hobbies, crafts, coming offline, off screens, and back to like real, tangible, like our reality. And this is really a time to get in touch with your truest desires, like the weird, quirky, niche desires. The weirder, the better. The ones you keep close to your chest. It's going to encourage true authenticity. And we've known for some time that that is actually the highest vibration we can operate out of. Like studies have confirmed this. Instead of it being like love and gratitude, your authenticity is the most magnetic state that you can be in, which is going to then attract all of your greatest dreams and desires to you. Leo energy with South Node there is letting us let go of that curated, poised, scripted narrative that we show the world to gain praise. And we're going to swap that out for the realness and intimacy and authenticity that that brings. Air signs are going to feel this more positively along with the fire signs. Again, Virgo, Pisces, and Scorpio may have more difficulty with this one though. Jupiter forms a trine with Neptune around the 20th of July. So that's a positive aspect and it can ignite more of this spiritual awakening. So that's kind of like this theme and essence throughout July. Yes, with the predictions and the assumptions that there is going to birth like a new civilization out of this, but collective spiritual awakening is kind of like the theme here. So there's kind of this current that runs through July that is going to be like a big turning point and a very pivotal month for this year. And so with the trine, Jupiter trine Neptune, it is offering this flare of gregarious Leo energy. And this energy is affirming, it's open, it's expansive. And then when we partake in and understand that everything is connected, we can truly operate and move through the world with this like open heart space. Leo does rule over the heart. Jupiter's also going to oppose Pluto with a T square to Chiron. And with Uranus and Pluto trine, the last time we kind of had this configuration was in 1922. And that was along with the Irish Civil War and a major turning point and Mussolini's rise to power. And so we kind of look to history and see what's going on around the same times that these transits happen to kind of help us see a bit of a vision and a picture and a pattern that forms. History does repeat itself. And so the astrology also will repeat itself. And so we can kind of see these repeated patterns and um, impacts that have happened throughout time and space may occur again. Not to say it's going to be exact, like everything that went down in 1922, but it might have the same texture and the same feel. The difference here is that all other planets are in different signs to what was happening the last time we saw this configuration. So again, it's not going to be like cut copy, and but just like a similar theme and potentially similar kind of energies and outcomes. Jupiter will form a sextile to Uranus, July 22nd. So this is more positive potential. Still comes with its challenges though. So the transit is about taking your biggest, grandest visions and ideals and expressing them in some way. So like putting that out into the universe in some capacity. By the 24th, Mercury will station direct, you know, and that's when we can start to move forward with a greater sense of clarity. That is when we can start to make these decisions regarding major life things. So during a retrograde, especially Mercury, not really a time to make decisions as it pertains to like where you live, what relationships you have, your job status, etc., etc. These are things that like when Mercury goes retrograde, suddenly we're like, oh my God, I'm going to break up with my boyfriend. It's like pause, wait until that planet station's direct. Just see the issues that are coming up right now are to be faced and dealt with and to find a resolution. And that's what the retrograde is for, to bring around past experiences or conversations or people from our past, come back around so that we can gather more information regarding that and then make an informed decision following the retrograde. So now is that time to make that informed decision. All right, let the dust settle for a little while. We'll still be in that kind of post retrograde haze, but we'll start to gain that clarity that's coming through now. We'll have Neptune in Aries in sextile with Pluto in Aquarius. And this is the first of 13 passes that we're having of this transit over the coming 6 years. But the energy of this is kind of underpinning a lot of what is unfolding now. So it's something still to pay attention to regardless, even though it will be very subtle in its effects. Sextile energy is very positive, but it's one of those transits that, or aspects that wants our involvement in. It wants us to participate in this. We have to act upon it to really kind of see that take roots. So this can be seen as an attempt to prove the unprovable. So when it comes to the psychic or otherworldly, maybe we start to adopt different scientific methods towards these things to find an explanation for the things we can't explain, you know? So our understanding of reality is going to shift over these coming years, which is also then adding to this month's kind of overall energy of things just taking a turn for the better. That's what we're manifesting in this collective spiritual awakening. We have a full moon come the end of July, so around the 30th, in Aquarius at 6 degrees. So we're going to close out the month with this really powerful, potent Aquarius full moon. And full moons are always a point of release, releasing the ways that you shrink, release the ways that you perform, release the ways that you dim down your own light for the sake of fitting in with a current style or trend. This moon is going to oppose Jupiter, who wants you to expand and not have you just be perceived, but to actually be truly seen and known for who you are at your core, without feeling like you need to shy away from that, like being proud of who you are and being able to kind of show that fully to the world. That's what this full moon is going to be all about. So July is a massive month. That does kind of wrap up the major transits that we're going to be focusing on and feeling throughout July. But as I said earlier, Substack, YouTube, you can find me here. Link to my website I will pop if you're curious to connect. But otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye. Love you.